He is the agent of Sam Bradford and Drew Brees and more. He's Tom Condon back here on the show. How are you, Tom?
Hey, Rich. How you doing?
I am doing great. Appreciate you taking the time here.
Sure.
How would you characterize Sam Bradford's relationship with the Eagles right now?
Oh, I think it's fine. There's when he came back, I talked to Howie ahead of time and said, "What's the temperature of the coaches and the team?" And he said everybody's looking forward to trying to get him back, and we'll welcome him with open arms.
Well, what do you think his relationship with the fans of Philadelphia would be right now? How would you characterize that and his thoughts on that subject?
I think that with regard to the fans, my experience has been both as an agent and as a former player.
Mm-hmm.
If you're the nicest guy in the world and you play horribly, the fans hate you. And if you play great and you're fantastic on the field, they love you. So it's all a matter of performance.
So let's walk me through, if you don't mind, how this all went down. When Sam signed his contract with Philadelphia, did the Eagles give you any indication that they would draft a quarterback?
No, but to tell you the truth, I think at that particular time they were trying to acquire a quarterback that they thought they could win with right now, because I think they've got a good supporting cast and they've got a good football team, and Sam certainly fit the bill for that. I mean, when he came out of Oklahoma after having won the Heisman, he was uncanny in his accuracy. And so I think they wanted Sam. They had a good experience with him the year before. He wasn't able to participate in the previous year's off-season program. And when you looked at his 14 games that he started, if you looked at the whole 14, and statistically he was in the middle of the pack for starters. If you looked at the second 7 games of those 14, he was in the top 8. And then if you looked into the last 3, he was about in the top. He was anywhere from 1 to 3 in terms of where his ranking was statistically. So he really was improving and moving quickly and playing really well. So I think that's that. And so this year, obviously, he's had the opportunity to go through He would have the opportunity to go through the entire off-season program, learn the new system. And with Chase Daniel, of course, we didn't know Chase Daniel was going to be there at the time, but nevertheless, he already knows the system and played for Coach Peterson. So I think that when they made that decision to sign Sam, they thought they were getting somebody that certainly was going to win in the short term, but nevertheless, cognizant of the fact that he's had some significant injury history.
So why would bringing in Carson Wentz be such a threat in the minds of Sam and you, Tom?
Well, it's because it's not really a competition. They're telling you that in 90% of the time, if you've traded, the 3 picks in 16, the first round draft choice in 17, the second round draft choice in 18, you don't do that unless you expect this other guy to play, and so it's just a matter of time. I mean, the players in the locker room understand that, and I think let's face it, everybody else does too. Carson's got to be a mistake and a failure for him not to play. So we looked at it from that standpoint and thought, okay, they've made a business decision, and from Philadelphia's standpoint, you can look at it and say, okay, Sam's had a significant injury history. We have to secure the future, and so we do that with Carson Wentz.
But I'm sure you've heard the criticism and the conversation, and I'd love to give you a chance to respond to the ultimate, indictment of Bradford in this whole thing is that, so the kid from North Dakota State is coming, and obviously you don't give up all that treasure to not play him, but that time to play him isn't now, and Sam could get out on the field and ball out and become the hero in Philadelphia, make things difficult on the Eagles for a good problem to have, and if they do let him go, he could pretty much maybe write his ticket to whichever spot he wants to go to with a quarterback opening. It's the competition that he seemed to be turning down when he said he wanted to be traded, Tom.
Come on now, Rich. I mean, really, they made a business decision, and we made one too. We thought we had a chance to go to a really good football team, and be there for a long time. and that opportunity was there, and it actually the attempt was made. It was just that when when the Broncos contacted the Eagles and talked about the trade, they couldn't agree on the price, and so they drafted somebody in the first round. Now at that point, our options are pretty limited. So the next best our next best option is to go back and prepare for the season, and then we're back to where you've already said that he goes in, plays great, he lights out, and everybody loves him, and he either sits Carson for another year or he's very valuable as a trade commodity.
Last question for you on this subject before I want to chat with you a bit about Drew Brees. I've got Tom Condon on the phone here on the Rich Eisen Show. So how does Sam handle? Because I haven't heard him talk publicly about this just yet. How is he handling the supposition that he was turning down competition on this front? The one that you obviously didn't like hearing that just moments ago, but that's what is being said about Sam. How is he handling all that, Tom?
He's a tough guy, and the players in the locker room understand what's going on, as do the coaches. So that's what he's really worried about. And as I said, it all is settled on the field. He either plays really well or he doesn't. And if he does great, as I expect him to, all's forgotten. And so basically, when you look at it, the Eagles made the business decision, and it was good for them. Sam made a business decision that had the opportunity to be good for him, didn't work out. And so we take our next best option, and the next best option is to go in there and play good or play great and see where we are next year.
All right, let's move on to Drew Brees. Last time you and I spoke, we talked about that $30 million cap hit, and you said that in a couple of weeks you expected to have some conversations with New Orleans, but New Orleans, when it's all said and done, had the ability to take that into the season, and it certainly looks like that's what's happening. Did you have contract talks with New Orleans in any shape or form?
Well, at one point, New Orleans wanted to talk about a cap redo, and Drew was more than happy to do that. But as it turned out, the need for that wasn't as keen as there were some intervening kind of situations that occurred, and so they didn't need the cap room, and they seem to be satisfied with carrying that number right now. And the $30 million number as a salary cap. Now, obviously, the cap has moved up to $155 million per team.
Yeah.
So we've had some really substantial increases over the last 3 years, and I would predict that we're going to see those increases continue to occur. And even looking at Philadelphia and what they've done, and you see about how important the quarterback position is, and you've got $18 million in cash on Sam Bradford, and $18,050 on Carson, and $7 on Chase. So we're that's a substantial amount of money at the quarterback position.
So when the intervening situation with Brees, was that Josh Norman when he was available?
Well, to tell you the truth, I probably I didn't ask him specifically what player they were looking for, but I had to guess that was it.
Yeah, I know if Drew was in our studio in Chicago saying that he would have been more than happy to do what he needed to do for Josh. And, obviously there's a lot of people who are nervous, Brees fans in New Orleans, that he's an unrestricted free agent. Are you and Drew concerned about the long-term future in New Orleans right now?
Well, Drew is committed to the city, and he loves his football team, and he's great with his teammates and crazy about them. And it's interesting because sometimes even though I think I have some insight as an ex-player, but I say to Drew, are you hoping that they do better with your supporting cast? And he said, Tommy, we have a really good young football team. He said, we're fine. I said, okay. Mm-hmm. and his football IQ is really high, so I don't doubt him anymore. The last time he said that to me was, I can't remember the tight end. Played for the Giants, was out of the University of Miami.
Shockey?
Yep, Shockey.
Uh-huh.
When they traded Shockey, and I said, "Oh my God, Drew!" I said, "I feel so bad. You've lost your tight end." And he said, "It's okay. His backup's going to go in the Hall of Fame."
And that's the one. That's the one who's in Seattle right now.
That's the guy.
Yeah, that's the guy. Before I let you go, I'm on the phone with Tom Condon. You've mentioned, you've got the former player experience, you've got the player representation experience, you've also got the experience with the Players Association. Is this the largest level of distrust between player and commissioner that you've ever seen, Tom, or is this just perception?
No, I think that's accurate. The relationship has really deteriorated, and it doesn't seem to be getting any better. So, and I can't tell you how to fix it.
Yeah, if you could guess, would you? Because I mean, and you've been there in the mid '80s with the Players Association. You've seen the Upshaw era, and now you've seen what's going on right now at the Players Association and the commissioner, and also the players and the commissioner. Is there a summit that could be had? Is there something that the agents might be able to play a part in this sort of thing?
Well, we're in real trouble if they're asking the agents what to do about that. But but anyway, it's interesting. At one point, Gene and Paul didn't have a terribly positive relationship either, but they were able to mend it, and they worked together, I think, pretty well for the benefit of the league. Right now, Roger and Dee are at odds and have been that way for some time, and so I can't tell you what the outcome is going to be, but I've seen it change pretty dramatically in a relatively short period of time before.
Tom, thanks for the time. Always appreciate it. Your honesty. Thank you.
Okay, Rich. Good talking with you.
Same here. That's Tom Condon.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.